Hello spooky people, and welcome to In the Maw of Thanatos, where I talk about all types of horror, both old and new, because that's what I do. Well, it looks like we're still stuck in the early 2000s. This time England, more specifically London, gets some love. All about murder, revenge, and a spider baby. Pull out your best fishnet tights and slap on some corpse paint. This is Cradle of Fear. The story is told through 4 vignettes, all linked, sort of, by an overarching narrative, which, much like the film, I'll save to the end and rush my way through. After a brief introduction to the man, played by Danny Filth, and our corpse-groping hero, the first story begins. Emily Booth, or Bouffant in the case of this film, plays Mel, a randy goth girl looking for a man. Who spies from across the room the man. This scene takes me back to my younger years and frequenting the goth club's spiders. Oh, pink Pugsleys and Panagalactic Gargle Blasters. Anyway, without saying a word, they end up back at her place. And after spiking both of their drinks, Mel does a little striptease, causing Danny to drop his drinks on his new rocks. Oh, the humanity! Skipping ahead, because YouTube, Danny leaves Mel after some freaky stuff, and Mel is left to reflect on her nightmarish night with Danny. On her way to a friend's house, Mel sees some creepy things. And once there, chases it all up with a few drinks, some more drugs, followed by a nightmare, after which Mel's friend Natalie has a poke and a prod, then loses some fingers for her troubles. As it turns out that Mel's mad night of passion has resulted in her being pregnant with a demon spider baby, who murders everyone. Story 2 takes place an unspecified amount of time later, which follows the exploits of Emma and Sophie, who have decided to break into and rob the home of an elderly man. And we get to see Danny's horny face as he watches this segment's victims. After Sophie fails to use the stairs, they both simultaneously recklessly and carefully turn over his flat in search of his money. Things very quickly go south when the old man wakes up and attacks Emma. I'm sorry, what? Tea? Teen? Oh, tin! After murdering him 3 times, the pair decide to celebrate with a bath. And then, double cross. Sophie runs home after failing at the stairs again. Does her repeated inability to use stairs count as Chekhov's gun? Sophie revels in her newfound wealth. A whole £2,000. Definitely worth the double homicide. But, surprise! Emma is a zombie ghost, and the old man still isn't dead. Yes, we get it. Next is the turn of Nick and Natalie. Nick is an amputee suffering from emotional issues due to the loss of his limb. Natalie, however, seems quite into it. Nick eventually decides that he's had enough of feeling incomplete and takes action. He visits an old friend, murders him, and then steals his leg. He has it transplanted onto his stump, and it's a success. Later, while out on a drive, his new leg decides it wants to take over the driving duties. And after some top-notch special effects and a mind-blowing crash, Natalie dies. Our last segment is an unnecessarily long one, and quite honestly the least interesting out of them all. So I'll make this one as quick as I possibly can. Richard, the son of the detective, is a reporter with an addiction to the unsavoury side of the internet. Not that there's much of that. He stumbles upon a snuff site where you can control the actions of a killer. I'm not entirely sure how this one would work, as the click commands are 1-to-1, with no delay and decent full video and audio streaming. For anyone too young to remember, in 2001 this would have been agonising to watch, with lag and buffering. YouTube wasn't even invented yet. Anyway, he gets hooked after seeing about 30 seconds of one video, and manages to lose his job, his possessions, and his home in about 3 weeks. Boy,
that escalated quickly.
Richard eventually manages to track down where the videos are being made, and in the greatest twist never, he becomes the next victim of the site. Now then, let's move on to the real story, going on between these grisly encounters with death. Some years prior, an evil hypnotist named Kemper used his powers to abduct and murder children over a span of 25 years, until he was eventually caught and imprisoned. Now, with the help of his son, the Man, played by Danny Filth, and a deal with the devil, he kills off in a roundabout way the people who imprisoned him, or more accurately their family and friends. The detective eventually pieces it all together, and after his son's death in the Red Room, goes to confront Kemper. In a final showdown where Danny shows his lack of understanding as to how knives work, everybody dies. The end. The film was released on the 18th of December in 2001, which makes sense given the real Christmassy feel to it. Its budget was around £70,000 from the sources I've managed to find, although information on that and its earnings are spotty at best. Written and directed by Alex Chandon, who is known largely for low-budget fare, this wasn't his only outing with the Cradle of Filth crew, having directed 3 music video projects with the band. As for the acting, it is very much what you would expect from a low-budget movie. It isn't great, or even good in some places, but with the film being what it is, that's fine, and is somewhat in keeping with the overall theme. Those of you from the UK who were entering their teens or were in their teens in the 90s will recognise Emily Booth from a little gaming show called Bits.
Like a stone turtle with imbalanced brain water struggling with a shopping trolley.
It was great. The band members of the Cradle of Filth lineup make appearances throughout. You can tell who they are even if you don't know the band. Again, the obviousness of the low budget makes the somewhat hokey effects feel intentional. The deaths are fun and varied, the problem is that they are too few and far between, and they all take an age to get to the point. The best is that of Emily Booth in the first story, and rather than building from that solid start and using it as a foundation to grow the kills and make them more elaborate, the whole thing spirals downwards, almost like as the script was being written, interest in the project was waning. Now, there are 2 big problems with the film, which spoil what would otherwise have been an enjoyable experience. First is the length. At 2 hours, it drags, noticeably so in the 4th vignette. With a more practiced hand, the script and the scenes could have been trimmed and made more concise and less meandering, tightening the plot and making it feel like the splatter film that it so obviously yearns to be. Second, and most egregiously, are the sound effects. Oh my god, the sound effects. To be honest, it ruins an awful lot of the film. They are so jarring that it actually makes it difficult to watch. I know a splatter movie is supposed to be hard to watch, but that's supposed to be due to the gross out factor, not because of the terrible sound design. So, to the reason you're watching this, would I recommend Cradle of Fear? I want to say yes, just for the effort that was put into it, but I can't. The film is just too long, the infrequency of the kills, and those damn sound effects. Not even a B-movie connoisseur could find much in the way of fun here. The film is very much trying to be something like Bride of Reanimator meets the old Amicus films, but it just doesn't work. So no, I can't recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to the channel. Take care and stay spooky. Thank you for watching. Look, Danny, I'm sorry I didn't like your movie, but this is getting kinda weird. I'm gonna go.